For many of us, the day is split into two conflicting realities. We endure our working hours as a strict necessity for survival, counting the minutes until we are free. Then we treat that hard-won free time as a chance to escape, slipping into passive consumption to recover from the stress of the day. This creates a cycle governed entirely by the ego. We swing between overwhelming anxiety during the pressure of the work week and profound boredom when the weekend finally arrives. Our perception of time distorts depending on where we are in this cycle. As the quip attributed to Albert Einstein goes, if you put your hand on a hot stove for a minute, it seems like an hour, but sit with a pretty girl for an hour, and it seems like a minute. This split between endurance and escape contradicts the long history of human activity, where the rituals of survival and daily life were seamlessly linked. By treating the majority of our waking hours as something to be survived rather than experienced, we create a sense of displacement that consumption is unable to fill. On the island of Okinawa, which boasts some of the highest numbers of centenarians in the world, there is a different approach to daily life. It revolves around the concept of Ikigai, which roughly translates to your reason for being, the specific purpose that gets you out of bed in the morning. Living according to your Ikigai requires achieving a state of complete immersion called flow. In this state, your sense of time vanishes, your ego dissolves, and your consciousness unites entirely with the action you are performing in the present moment. The martial artist Bruce Lee described this exact experience with his famous advice, "Be water, my friend." This diagram maps the 4 foundational elements required to discover that personal reason for being. At the very center lies your Ikigai. Finding it requires balancing 4 distinct areas of your life: what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. Where your passion, mission, vocation, and profession intersect, you reach your optimal state. Achieving this state provides a psychological bridge, merging the requirements of our survival with our deepest personal interests. This graph shows how the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi mapped out the state of flow. Achieving this optimal human experience relies on a precise balance between our internal abilities and the external challenge we face. If we confront a task that far exceeds our current skill level, we become overwhelmed. The mind spirals into a paralyzing state of anxiety. Conversely, if a task asks almost nothing of us and requires no real focus, we disengage. We slip into a state of passive boredom. The ideal state lies on the middle path. We hit the flow channel when a challenge aligns closely with our abilities, but still requires a slight psychological stretch to complete successfully. We naturally enjoy the feeling of pushing our own limitations. Ernest Hemingway captured this precise sensation when he noted, "Sometimes I write better than I can." By intentionally tuning daily tasks to match this exact balance of skill and challenge, we can turn otherwise mundane actions into vehicles for deep satisfaction. This flow channel is highly visible in the traditional Japanese workplace. Master artisans, known as takumis, dedicate their lives to mindful, continuous improvement. Their strategy relies on establishing a clear, overarching objective and then immediately letting go of the ego. Once the goal is set, the mind shifts away from the end result and focuses strictly on the present process. The operating rule is rituals over goals. When a massive project threatens to induce stress, the most effective response is to break it down into small, highly structured daily steps. Strict adherence to a daily process gives the mind a clear set of rules to follow. That structure elevates everyday labor from an economic chore into a reliable practice of focus. Our free time requires a similar level of intentionality. Left unchecked, the mind operates like a chaotic centrifuge, swirling constantly with ideas, emotions, and anxieties. Escaping into hours of passive television or social media does nothing to calm that internal storm. True rest comes from active leisure, activities like reading, painting, or gardening. These hobbies require active concentration, serving as necessary training for the brain. The most direct way to train the mind to filter out distractions is meditation. During the 1988 Olympics, a South Korean archer won the gold medal. When asked about her preparation, she cited her 2-hour meditation practice as the most crucial element of her success. The mechanics behind this are neurological. Sitting quietly and observing your thoughts without judgment slows down the brain's activity, generating the relaxing alpha and theta waves required to slip easily into flow. How rigorously we protect and train our minds during our hours off directly dictates our ability to find depth and concentration during our working hours. When we combine process-oriented work with active, mindful leisure, the artificial boundary between labor and living dissolves. A key part of this unified mindset is accepting the ephemeral nature of the world. Rather than obsessing over permanent, fixed outcomes, we can choose to focus entirely on experiencing the continuous present. This acceptance is built directly into Japanese tradition. The Grand Shrine of Ise, for example, has been intentionally taken down and completely rebuilt every 20 years for centuries. The culture prioritizes preserving the process and the custom rather than clinging to a physical structure. Every single moment presents an opportunity. Whether you are shaping a piece of pottery or solving a corporate logistics problem, the act itself holds the potential for serious inner growth. Modern life constantly pushes us to view our existence as a series of problems to be solved, and our careers as an exhausting race toward the eventual relief of retirement. But the long-living residents of Okinawa offer a clear warning against stopping. Their experience shows that those who give up the things they love doing eventually lose their central purpose in life. The mandate is to stay actively curious until the very end. We must keep busy by making things of beauty and utility, both to serve the community around us and to nourish our own minds. Maintaining this state of continuous flow throughout a lifetime gives purpose its endurance. It is the practical realization of an Ikigai.